Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me and welcome. It is Friday, July the 11th. Happy birthday to my baby girl, Tia. 34 years old and the mother of 4 beautiful boys. Love you, darling. Happy birthday to you. All right, I got a lot to talk about. Some of this stuff I want to catch up on that I haven't been able to cover before, and some of it's current, but it's all happened within the last week. Anyway, I want to start with something I have not yet talked about. I've been harping about the Epstein stuff. I'm going to try to steer clear of that today because there's other stuff I want to get to. And let's start with this. A few days ago, as you probably know, Tucker Carlson interviewed the president of Iran. His name is, and I'm going to butcher this, his name is Masoud Pezeshkian, I believe. Pezeshkian. It ain't Smith. Pezeshkian. Now, when this happened, folks, you know, I'm on X. You can follow me on X, Twitter, down below. The link is down below. When this happened, there were people who called themselves journalists who were losing their ever-loving cotton-picking minds that Tucker Carlson had the audacity to interview the president of Iran. I'm talking about people like the usual suspects, Laura Loomer, Mark Levin, and on and up, Ben Shapiro, and on and on and on. Oh, they're so outraged that Tucker Carlson would actually have the gall, the audacity to interview the president of Iran. Folks, this is what a journalist does. The reason they hate the fact that Tucker Carlson interviewed the president of Iran is because they're Israel first, of course. They don't want him talking to the enemy of Israel. They were upset that he talked to Putin. This is what a journalist does. It's not like Tucker was applying to become an Iranian citizen, for heaven's sakes. It's not like when he talked to Putin, he was trying to become a Russian. What do journalists do? They simply ask questions. They try to get to the truth of whatever situation we're talking about. I don't care who a journalist talks to. A good journalist is objective and independent and asks probing, hard-charging questions in an objective manner in order to get answers. It doesn't matter who the subject is. The reason these people, I told you the reason they're upset, but they're not really journalists, folks. If they were really journalists, they would applaud this. They wouldn't be upset by it. A good journalist would interview anybody. It doesn't mean that Tucker Carlson is an Iranian sycophant or a fan of Russia or whatever. He's just doing what journalists do. And isn't it interesting, if you remember back when he interviewed Putin, he actually went to Moscow to interview Putin, and he faced opposition at every level from the State Department on. I mean, nobody wanted him to go and do that. He's had his phone tapped into. I mean, this is America. We're supposed to have free speech. We're supposed to have a free press where journalists can talk to anybody. This is just fundamental stuff, is it not? And now you've got people like Mark Levin just drives me bonkers, as does Loomer, and they were calling Tucker everything but a child of God. I mean, he just needs to move to Iran. If he's going to talk to the president of Iran, why don't he just go to Iran and live? And stuff like that. It was just absurd. It was childish. It was sophomoric. It was immature. And these people are just showing their true colors. This is where the division is in MAGA. I mean, we bombed Iran a couple of weeks ago. They are in the news. They are relevant. And because they are relevant and because they are in the news, presents an opportunity for a newsman, to pursue a story, does it not? If you're a journalist, you should want to talk to anybody. If it's relevant, if it's in the news, you want to talk to Netanyahu, you want to talk to the president of Iran, Putin, Trump, Whoever, folks. That's what journalists do. The fact that they interview somebody is not an endorsement of their subject. Didn't Geraldo go and interview, like, was it Charles Manson or Ted Bundy or somebody like that? So does that mean he endorses serial killers? I mean, come on, man, grow up. It's just a guy doing his job, and he presents the questions. There was a language barrier in this interview. If you haven't seen it, you should. It's on YouTube. He asked great questions, and he got answers. It's up to you to decide whether the guy is lying or not. I don't know, but I wanted to hear what he had to say. So it was a worthwhile... Information is good. Don't you agree? It's good to have information, and that way you can make up your mind as to what is true. And it's as simple as that. And so I applaud Tucker Carlson for doing this. And I commend that interview to you. Tucker Carlson interviewing the president of Iran. It is on YouTube, and you can go and look it up. All right, let's move on to... This happened just a couple of days ago. This was in a cabinet meeting where Donald Trump blasted Vladimir Putin this past Tuesday. He blasted Putin during his cabinet meeting Tuesday, lamenting his Russian counterparts, quote, bullshit on the war in Ukraine, unquote. The comment was among Trump's harshest criticisms aimed at Putin in either of his terms. This is what Trump said, and I quote, "We get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin, if you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless," unquote. Trump lifted a freeze on weapons for Kiev on Monday and said on Tuesday that he was strongly considering placing a new sanctions package on Russia. What does all of this mean? Let me tell you what I think it means. I think it means that Trump is really frustrated with Putin because Putin has got him stifled at every turn. Putin has run circles around his opponents, and that includes Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, if you will remember, before he became president, would famously say over and over and over again, had I been president, this war would have never happened. I don't know that I believe that, sir. But here we are now. Trump is the president, and no matter what he wants to do or no matter what he tries to do with Putin, Putin just won't play ball with him. And he's frustrated because of it. And what does he do now? Well, he calls Putin out for, quote, bullshit, and he announces new sanctions on Russia. Folks, if you ask me, Trump is flailing. Putin has just run circles around Trump. Putin is in charge insofar as this war goes. And as far as I can tell, the sanctions we've placed on Russia are having minimal effect. I mean, Trump announces we're going to place more sanctions on Russia, and it seems to me like Putin is saying, okay, whatever you want to do, pal. I mean, Russia is in the driver's seat insofar as this conflict goes, and as far as world politics, if you will, the geopolitical situation, I got to tell you, folks, I think Russia and China are just, the American presidents, Biden, Trump, and maybe more, have successfully pushed Russia toward an alliance with China. That does not serve us well. And from this, you get things such as BRICS. And I don't know that we can place as many sanctions as we want to on Russia. I just don't think it's going to have that much of an effect. I think Trump is frustrated because Trump is an alpha male. He is a man who likes to be in charge and usually is. But in this situation, he is not in charge, and he's frustrated by it. And that's why you saw him lashing out against Putin. All right, let me move on. I get frustrated a lot. Pardon me, I got to have a little morning brew. I get frustrated a lot, as you know, with Donald Trump. I have a love-hate relationship with him, if you will. I love him some days. Other days, he just drives me batty. And it drove me batty the day that he reiterated his unconditional, undying support for the re-election of the war-loving neocon Lindsey McCain Graham of South Carolina, who, as you know, is running for re-election. This will be next year. It is baffling to me that Trump, who, ran on basically the idea that we want to stop the wars, we want to have a peaceable existence, we want to have a new era of diplomacy and cooperation and negotiation, which is a good thing, folks. And all of these things are anathema to people like Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham lives for war. He just can't stand life if there's not war involved. If he doesn't have American troops going somewhere around the world, bombing somebody and dying for their country, he just thinks that's just not his America. He is the protege of the late John McCain of Arizona. And it just, again, baffles me that Donald Trump would support this clown yet again, when you would assume that Lindsey Graham his philosophy is completely opposite of Trump's. Maybe it isn't, of course, in light of recent events. Hello, Iran. But his announced opponent is a man by the name of Andre Bauer. I don't know much about him. I believe he has served as ambassador to Brazil under President Trump. He is the former lieutenant governor of South Carolina, and this is what he said recently, I quote, "Lindsey Graham has been in Washington too long and he votes like it. I'm guaranteed I'm conservative, and I don't think he is. I will unapologetically stand with President Trump and the America First agenda and will fight to put South Carolina first, 100% guaranteed," unquote. Well, it sounds good, don't you think? My position is, since I know little about Mr. Bauer, what I can tell you is what's great about him is he ain't Lindsey Graham. And if I were a South Carolinian and I were entering the voting booth today and I had to pick between Lindsey Graham and Andre Bauer, the choice is rather obvious. If it were between Lindsey Graham and AOC, I'd be sweating a little bit, because I'll do anything to get rid of Lindsey Graham, the war-loving neocon. He's got to go. And it just aggravates me to no end that Donald Trump would endorse him, a full-throated endorsement of Lindsey Graham. Does it just not drive you bonkers that he gives a full-throated endorsement to Lindsey Graham, and on the other hand, he launches a PAC that's starting out with $1 million in the gas tank to take out Thomas Massie? Give me a break, Mr. President. Which one is better for America, Lindsey Graham or Thomas Massie? A man who wants perpetual war or a man who doesn't want it at all? It's a no-brainer. And this is just despicable behavior on the part of the president, folks. I got to call it as I see it. Donald Trump, we would be so well served if we had 535 Thomas Massies in Washington. What we need is to get rid of the Lindsey Graham and his ilk that are in Washington, but Donald Trump is all it. Now, this Andre Bauer sounds like a pretty good guy. I mean, he's saying the right things. I don't know that much about him, but I'm just saying he ain't Lindsey Graham. And so and he supports Donald Trump. So, Trump's ego is going to keep him, I'm sure, from recanting and saying, maybe I should have gone with Bauer. I don't think you're going to see that happen. But whatever the case, that's where we are. It's just my hope and my prayer that the people of South Carolina are Graham fatigued and are ready for some new blood in their Senate seat next year. So let's hope that happens. All right, I have got to get to this. As you know, folks, a little coffee. as you know, 6 months ago or thereabouts, we have these horrific, raging wildfires on the California coast in the area of Pacific Palisades. This is a very well-to-do area with multi-million-dollar homes with beautiful views of the ocean right there on the coast. I suppose it's on the PCH, I don't know, Pacific Coast Highway. And when this fire started, and I still don't know if they've determined how the fire started, whether it was weather-related or if it was set by the gross amount of homeless people that are around Los Angeles who are known to start fires. And then you've got the winds, which of course fed the fires. And these things just took out hundreds of structures and homes in this high-end neighborhood, if you will, or part of Southern California known as Pacific Palisades. There's some very famous people who had homes there, including James Woods, the great actor. He lost his home there, and many, many others did as well. This was about 6 months ago, and when it happened, you may recall the current mayor of Los Angeles, the communist Karen Bass, I'm not exaggerating, she left town. She went to Africa. As her city burned, she goes to Africa for some kind of conference or something. Or maybe she was already there. I'm not sure. I may have my facts wrong about that. Regardless, when it was burning, she was in Africa, you know, which may be a good thing for all I know, because what does she know about such situations? But the point of the matter is, Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, was AWOL while her city ostensibly, literally burned. She was fiddling in Africa. And the fires continued to rage and take out all of these homes and all of these structures until the whole area of Pacific Palisades was just completely ravaged. Now, there is a channel on YouTube that I commend to you, and I have commended to you several times in the past, that you might want to check out. It's called America's Untold Stories. It's hosted by Eric Hunley and a man by the name of Mark Grubar. Mark Grubar is kind of a Renaissance man. He was former editor of National Lampoon. He's a screenwriter. He's worked a lot with Oliver Stone. He does a fantastic job on the YouTube channel, and he lives in Los Angeles. And when all this was going on, Mark Grubar prophesied, if you will, that it was the plan of the communist leaders in California, such as Karen Bass, and Mark threw in Gavin Newsom. It was their communist pipe dream to reimagine the Pacific Palisades the way they think it should be. Now, you might think that's a little strange, or maybe it's a stretch, but as it turns out, Mark's prophecy was dead on target. This appeared in the Washington Examiner a couple of days ago. Let me read a couple of excerpts from this. 6 months after the devastating Palisades fires, California Governor Gavin Newsom unveiled $101 million in funding Tuesday for, quote, multifamily, low-income housing development, unquote, that will contribute to a more equitable and resilient Los Angeles. The priority is for geographic proximity to the fire perimeters of the area. So there you have it, folks. It's the Democratic pipe dream of having beautiful homes in beautiful neighborhoods replaced with government housing. That is exactly what it is. Newsom said this: thousands of families from Pacific Palisades to Altadena to Malibu are still displaced, and we owe it to them to help. Newsom said in a statement, the funding we're announcing today will accelerate the development of affordable multifamily rental housing so that those rebuilding their lives after this tragedy have access to safe, affordable place to come home to. That is nonsense. That does not apply to the people who lost their homes. He's not saying we're going to help the people who lost their homes build their homes back. That's not what he's saying. He said that's exactly what he's saying, but that ain't the truth, is the point. Instead, he wants to replace these homes in this beautiful area. I've never been there, but I've seen photos of it. It's absolutely beautiful. And he's wanting to replace these beautiful homes in this beautiful area with basically welfare housing, folks. That's what it comes down to, these multifamily housing units. Jennifer Seeger, who was the HCD Deputy Director of the Division of State Financial Assistance, said the 25 wildfires in LA County have intensified the region's long-standing housing crisis, underscoring the urgent need for multifamily, low-income housing development. There you have it. This is going to contribute, she said. It makes funds more accessible to support the development of safe, fire-resilient, multifamily, low-income housing that will provide long-term stability, protect vulnerable populations, and contribute to a more equitable and resilient Los Angeles. This is just utter nonsense. One more thing I wanted to point out here. To qualify as supportive housing, multifamily housing, a project must provide at least 40% of its units for the homeless or individuals who have spent at least 15 days in jails, hospitals, prisons, and institutes of mental disease, unquote. Do you see what is happening here? They are taking a beautiful area of Southern California, and within a matter of years, folks, you mark my words, it's going to be like an inner city slum. That's exactly what is going on here. By local law, 40% of these multifamily low-income units have to be available to homeless people, people who have been in jails, hospital, prisons, or mental institutions. This is utter insanity. And if you have any vacation plans in the next few years to go to the Pacific Palisades, I would suggest you alter your plans or buy a Kevlar vest for Ma and the kids if you're going there. Because this is what Democrats do, folks. This is what communists do. They take a beautiful area. I've seen it over and over and over again. Look at any major American city and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. In the name of compassion and love and concern, they take a once beautiful city or a once beautiful town and they transform it into a ghetto or a slum where crime is rampant, where there's murder and rape and drug trafficking, and you can't go in there at nighttime and usually in the daytime. I've seen it, and many of you have as well. It's true in Birmingham, Alabama. There are surrounding suburbs just in Birmingham, just one example. Places like Bessemer, Hueytown, Fairfield, Midfield, all formerly beautiful communities not that long ago, folks, within probably 50 years. And they are now nothing but slums and ghettos, crime-infested, drug-infested, astronomical murder rates, rapes, robberies, you name it. The Democrats claim to be the people who are compassionate for the poor and the homeless and the needy. They are anything but. They are the most cruel-hearted people on this planet. And this is what it is, folks. This is the Democratic pipe dream given to us now by Gavin Newsom and Karen Basshole. These inept, incompetent leaders in California who are going to turn the Pacific Palisades into a ghetto. That's exactly what's happening right here. What's next? Beverly Hills? I tell you, California is a beautiful state, and the Democrats have absolutely ruined it. Absolutely ruined it, just like they pretty much ruined every major American city. All right, let me move on. I got a couple more things I want to talk about. Let me touch real quickly about this cat that's running for mayor in New York, and I should have written his name down, and now I didn't. Mamdani, I believe it is. I forget his first name. He is he bills himself as a Democratic Socialist and a Muslim, and as things stand right now, he is likely to win, if you can believe it. This is an utter disaster waiting to happen. It was bad enough with Eric Adams, the current mayor of New York, who's running for re-election on the independent ticket, but I think the odds are against him at this point. The polls are at least showing that Mamdani is going to win this thing. But I'm asking the question, why did he succeed? It's not his politics, folks, in my opinion, that New Yorkers were voting for. Do you know why this guy won? I think it's really simple. Let me get a little coffee. He won, in my opinion, because he had a New York first message. That's why he won. Now, the devil is in the details. The things that he said, his ideas are horrific. But he was New York first in all of his rhetoric. And there's a lesson to be learned here, folks. If you're going to run for mayor of your town or governor of your state or president of your nation, you need to be your insert name of town first. Insert name of state first. If I'm running for governor of Alabama, I'm Alabama first. Don't care, even though I love Georgia, don't care about Georgia, Mississippi, all these surrounding states. I'm Alabama first, right? If I'm running for president, I'm America first in my rhetoric. That is strong. That's powerful. What do Americans care about? What do American voters care about more than anything else? America! Do we really care about what's going on in Ukraine when it comes right down to it? How does that affect us? Americans care about America, and people who live in New York care about life in New York. And this guy was giving a New York first message, and in my opinion, that's why he won. Now, it's going to be a disaster, undoubtedly, but I believe that's why he won. All right, one more thing I have got to get to today, and this is heartbreaking. I want to show you a picture right now. Watch this, please. Okay, that was a photo that you just saw, and the caption reads thusly: Israeli settlers set fire to the St. George Monastery and the Christian cemetery in the Christian village of Tabath, West Bank, one of the oldest Christian sites in Palestine. The story reads thusly quickly. Let me read this. Israeli settlers reportedly escalated their acts of violence and intimidation in the West Bank's only remaining all-Christian town this week, deliberately setting fire near its cemetery and historic church of St. George. This comes after months of the settlements encroaching further and further into the community, serving as bases from which settlers have worked to damage farmlands and destroy businesses vital to the local economy. 3 of the town's priests released a letter pleading for the end of the persecution on Tuesday, saying the illegal settlement outposts, which are under military protection, serve as a base for further assaults on the land and its people. As priests, we bear a pastoral and moral responsibility toward our community. We cannot remain silent in the face of these relentless attacks that threaten our very existence on this land. According to locals, settlers have increased the frequency of their attacks, including physical violence against Christians and the residents and their homes. They also say that Israeli soldiers often stand by passively, allegedly facilitating settler violence rather than policing it. I want those of you who are Christians who believe that Israel is God's chosen land to listen closely to what I'm telling you. Do you understand what's happening here? This is Israelis aided by the Israeli military who have attacked a church and, if you can believe it, a cemetery. And there you see the picture of it. This place, this is the land of Jesus where they're attacking, okay? This place, it's the St. George Monastery. Christ walked here, by the way. This was where he prayed. I looked this up earlier. I believe it was shortly before his crucifixion. Christ was praying here. There's a story about this. I marked it, and now I can't find it. Anyway, Jesus himself prayed at this very site that is now being destroyed, ravaged, and desecrated by Israelis. So if you're a Christian, maybe you ought to be concerned about that. And maybe it's time to start understanding what is really happening in Israel. All right, I covered a lot today. That's a lot. That's enough. I'm going to quit talking. Hey, thanks for joining me. Give me your comments down below, and please remember to like this video. I would really appreciate that. Subscribe to the old channel if you have not yet, and share it far and wide. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you soon.